Hello?
What's up, girl? What happened after Tony dumped you?
Girl, I'm over it. I went from heartbreak to hate.
Oi, Joy.
What's up, Bob?
It seems like it's been 25 years since we did the podcast because we didn't do it last week or the first week because of my mental state. And then this past Wednesday, technical difficulties.
But listen, into each life, technical difficulties must occur. I can't even speak, so maybe we shouldn't do it today either.
Oh, it's because the heat. The heat is the world's starting to warm up and your body's done.
It's supposed to be literally 101. That's not even like, they're not even like, oh, with the extra factors. They're like, no, just straight across the board, 101 on Tuesday. I think it is.
So like what, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they said that would
like
be
97, 99, 101.
It'll be the first time since 1934 that June has had 3 hot days like that in a row. So lucky us.
Yay. Global warming, so awesome.
So we've been making a documentary. We have not been making a documentary, but we're talking about them today.
Our deep love for documentaries, which is
decades
old.
Hookers at the point. Yes.
I meant to look up the name of the one that I'm always referencing.
Yeah.
That one they did, it was like dudes in jail. It's like the first time you hear about eating ass with like jelly or syrup. And that is a true documentary. Like, I can't remember I think it was like Chris Rock or somebody talked about it in their act, but that was a true HBO documentary.
Right.
And I remember when he was like talking about it, I was like, I've seen that. Because HBO, since the beginning of their creation, they don't give no fucks.
No.
They'll tell you all the things.
Yeah, that was kind of like the glory of documentaries back in the day because they were so gritty. Like it was literally things that you would never think about. I mean, they had their real sex stuff on HBO too. Yeah. And like that was just like mind blowing because like TV had never been like that.
Right. People were like, what is going on over at this station?
Yeah, and then they're like, and it's a documentary, which means it's not X-rated
right.
or rated R. And I think they just like, I don't know if they invented that thought, but like,
they were like,
loopholes. And then if you not rate it, you can be X-rated. But like those were the glory hole days. Because it was all, I mean, that's the thing is like, I feel like everybody has their like type of documentaries they watch. I'm kind of all over the board. Like I watch science, I watch murderers a lot, and then I watch anything to do with religion to make religion look horrible, which I'm not doing the horrible making. It's the people doing it themselves. But then yeah, like the true like realities of like people's existence because you never really I don't think up until that point we ever really like saw a street worker or a sex worker in a light that was not lace and like frizzy like 80s hair.
You didn't see the lingo of it all.
Right.
Like people were like talking about bottom bitches. And it's like, you had never heard of that before. No. You had to watch HBO documentary.
And if you say bottom bitch, people are like, oh, that's not a good thing. But no, bottom bitch was good.
It was.
So, yeah. No, that's, I mean, yeah. I feel like I talked really a lot on that one.
No. It's good.
Do you have anything that you're like specifically watch? You kind of are all over the board too, right?
I'm all over the board too. Yeah, I think it's, for me, some of it is the production of it also. Like there's some that I've been interested in, but it's like if you don't get your production together,
right?
I'm sorry. I was into this topic, but it's a no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because some of them want to be artsy.
But too artsy.
But too like arts and craftsy.
Yeah. Right. Dollar Tree
arts and crafts. Like
and it's a no.
It's a no. Like give us real stuff. Give us some cutaways to the surrounding area.
But also give us that you saved up or you used all your credit cards for the equipment. Please and thank you.
Please and thank you.
Because, it's like a lot of footage. I don't want the Blair Witch documentary style.
No.
I don't want it.
No.
You know how I feel about that.
I think if you saw something black and white and grainy, you would turn it off immediately.
Absolutely. Immediately. And this is the thing, because I can do black and white. I do some old black and white movies, but not gritty. I don't.
No.
And the shaking, you know how I feel about shaking.
Yeah.
I can't.
The motion of it all.
I'm too old for that. The young kids are into it. Me, no. Thank you. So, the latest two, which I'm sorry to jump in, but I'm so excited that I've watched are Our Father.
Yes.
On Netflix. Netflix is really bringing the heat.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay, Netflix is doing it. And it's doing it like we hate men, we hate religion, and like I mean that's like the point of view. But you know who's not doing it? I was thinking about this the other night in bed.
Okay.
Amazon Prime Video.
Just Prime is never doing it.
The thing about Prime Video is they don't have to do it because they make their money, right?
Right.
This is just a free service to get your 2-day shipping.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't give a shit.
No.
But like I'm scrolling through the documentaries because I go back every once in a while. You know, I have Apple TV, which says what everything's on whenever you're looking at it. And I was like, oh, I'll see what documentaries are on there because I watched one, I think, last year. They don't necessarily only have documentaries in their documentary section. The movie The Doors from the 90s with Val Kilmer is the documentary section. And I think I told you about that one documentary that I watched, documentary air quotes 5 million times, about these 4 guys who go camping in the middle of like on a trip somewhere and then they encounter aliens. That was not a documentary at all. But it was in the documentary section, so it got me like at 2 a.m. one time. I was like, because I like to get into the mood of some aliens late at night and stuff like that. But yeah, Prime is not where it's at.
It's not.
But Netflix.
Well, one more. So Prime is definitely not where it's at. Pretty much just in general. Mm-hmm. Every once in a great while, I'll be looking for a movie, and like Google TV has this thing where they can tell you the different ways to watch, right? And they'll be like, tell us which services you're subscribed to, and we'll tell you if it's on there or not. And every time it actually says Prime, I'm like, I don't even want to say it that bad. Never mind. But if I could sidestep to Hulu, because Hulu is also not with the shits.
No.
This is what they have decided to be is programs that are based on true events as opposed to true documentaries, right? Like everything that they have is like, oh, this is based on this, this is based on that, this happened here, this happened, it's like, okay.
And if we wanted that, we'd watch Lifetime Television.
We would.
Lifetime Movie Network, whatever, because that's what Lifetime really brings to the table. But yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is, like, I don't ever go to Hulu except for the shows I watch.
Right. In fact, I just pause because I'm like, my shows are off, and so you can't have my money. Thank you.
True. I don't think about that. I guess I bundle, so.
Okay, sorry. But yes, Netflix, they have studied all of the HBO notes, and they're like, okay, all right, this is what you got to do. And God bless them, because Our Father came out a few weeks ago. We'll go into that in the detail, but then they just dropped Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey, and we haven't even discussed it with each other yet, so this is perfect.
We talked about it at lunch on Friday that we were going to watch it.
Right.
And here we are 2 days later.
Another person.
Yes.
And that was it.
Yes.
Okay. Our Father. Let's start there, shall we?
Ow.
Aneurysm. You tell people the premise of Our Father?
So Our Father is based on a doctor in Indianapolis area. I guess more like the suburbs outside area, who was an infertility doctor. So you could go to him to get medicine for infertility, or you could get artificially inseminated. And this was the beginning of the 80s, and he was a astounding doctor in his field, very revered, and people sought him greatly, especially in a 25-mile radius.
Like, in these 25 miles, he's a miracle worker.
I never knew so many people were infertile in Indiana.
I know.
But it tracks. Anyway.
Moving along. But yeah, like, artificially inseminate, so, like, from sperm donors, but also some of the women were, like, just needed help with the process, and so they were using their own husbands.
Yeah.
But then
So 23andMe stepped in and ruined everyone's life.
Everyone.
Like 90 at that point, right? The episode was 90.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that ended with 90.
So
it crossed over 100. It was at least 90.
So initially, a woman found on 23andMe that her father was, or she was actually trying to find her father.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of came back that she had matches on 23andMe, more matches.
Uh-huh.
And then all of them ended up finding out
that this doctor was using his own sperm for all these women. And he kept changing his story. Like all really bad liars. Right. He first said that he only did it when he couldn't find a donor, and it was only a handful of times. Like one hand. Then it turned into like 2 hands, maybe.
That's not that big.
But there's definitely not more than 20. Mm-hmm. It was just like lying, not even 101. It was like the Discovery series of lies.
It was white man lies. It was cornered old white man lies, because he was not giving the lies with any kind of like fluctuation of voice. These are the truths as I'm telling you from gospel. And so they ended up, at the initial group, starting to be like a welcoming committee. Every time someone popped up as their sibling on 23andMe, the main woman would like send an email, hey, you're our sibling. If you want to discuss this, give me a call.
Yeah.
And a lot of them found out that they were, I mean, like I said, 25-mile radius. They were all fairly close to each other. Obviously, a big concern is that you're not sleeping with someone that's your sibling.
And that's what they said. They're like, we're having to have these kind of conversations with our own kids. Like, if you start dating someone,
this could be your
pump
cousin.
all your brakes. We have to do some digging.
And they did find one. The only thing that was like similar was that one woman, her daughter was on a softball team with another mother's, was her sister. That was like the closest that they found.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's intense stuff. And it goes through the whole process of them trying to just have him admit to what he had done.
And trying to have there be consequences for it.
Consequences. And
because as per usual, as per always, American law failed them. Like
100%. Like they had to get some kind of stupid charge to even get him into the court. And then were just completely, I don't know. I felt not ashamed, but I felt like sad for the woman who got up there, because she, got up there for that one charge, but she started saying why they really wanted to be there. Mm-hmm. And and it was just like
Judge was on his side.
Just
exposing all the crookedness that you already know is there, but sometimes like you just don't need to be reminded of how crooked.
Right. And that's one thing I guess we should definitely say is that you say, oh, well, he's the father. They wanted artificial insemination. Well, some people showed up with the father's sperm, or with the father donated the sperm there, and that didn't happen.
Right.
And then there was also, he had to go ejaculate once the woman was on the table and waiting. So he was, in her vagina area, and then goes and ejaculates and comes back in an artificial. So it just definitely crosses the lines of things that could be considered sexual assault and rape in those situations. It dives into those kind of darker thoughts, because superficially you don't think, you're like, oh, he just gave them what they wanted, but it's not what they wanted.
And something that they never even talked about, like, well, they didn't go into depth with it, right? It's like nobody should have to find out that they have 90 fucking siblings. You know what I mean? Like, there's just limits, and there's like, I can't even imagine like being the main woman who's like, I'll keep doing this until I die. But like, imagine the toll on her mental state every single time a new person pops into the system. Here we go again. Because also then she's like the bearer of bad news. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that's a lot. I call myself having a lot of siblings, but it's a no.
No. Yeah, and that's the thing is like, it also kind of had like some of his logic behind it was, religious based, Christianity based, and then that was a thing I forgot about too. Was that like the Jewish couple that were actually his friends, his close friends, were people who he, and so he actually knew his daughter that wasn't his daughter her entire life. And,
besides of which,
was her doctor.
That's the thing. And also, wasn't a perfect specimen.
No.
Had his own, like, what's a good word for it? But, like, a lot of the kids have health issues. You know why?
Yes.
Guess where it came from? Not the mother.
Him. Right. So that's the thing is, like, donors are checked out. They have to go through evaluations. They fill out forms. So people you're not going to, your donor is not going to potentially come from a family of cancer background. Like, you're trying to, when you're in that position, have the most healthiest child you're going to have because you're already behind. You're already behind. You're already like not feeling amazing about the situation.
Yeah. And it's like, anyways, without saying the whole thing, I just was like sitting there and I was so outraged, but at the same time, it was so good. Like it had you. I was like, tell me more. And every, I can only get so far with any television program. Here comes He-Man sitting here like, hey, let's take a break. I'm like, I am at the good part.
Not this one.
I'm at the good part.
And that one flew by.
It did.
I don't even know how many episodes it had. I think they normally have 4 or 5, but I thought that it was like it's over. Wake up and it's the next day. But yeah, no. So be sweet.
Keep sweet. The songs. Can we talk about the songs? Okay, first of all, we should explain what Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey is.
Right.
It's a documentary about the FLDS, which is the fundamentalist Latter-day Saints. So the normal Mormons are like, they look at the FLDS and we're like, we don't know her.
Right.
Because
the FLDS are the ones that were kicked out of heaven.
Right.
So they were like the Satan of the Mormons.
Yeah, because they're, part of their importance of their religion is that you have multiple wives. It's the only way to get to heaven kind of stuff. So they're on a lot of stuff that regular Mormons are like, no, it's a no for us.
Well, and I think I've like growing up in the 80s, whenever like the Mormon scare, right? People would talk about the Mormons quite a bit because you would see the churches were still popping up. They were still walking around. They were new to the, not new to it, but like they were branching out in other areas of the United States. So people talked about the Mormons quite a bit, and they would always be, we're not those Mormons.
Yes.
We're not those
we're
Mormons.
Not those.
Yeah. Because you heard about the FLDS, and I think that's the thing is like, as children of media, we kind of knew about them a little bit. But
we didn't. The thing I felt watching the 4 episodes was, but we didn't really know, because I do remember when all of it was happening in real time. Like when there was footage on the news of them loading kids on the buses and, Oprah going, and I remember all of that. But watching this, you're like, oh, this shit is wilder than we knew.
Right.
So, okay, I'll let you.
No. That's the thing is like, it literally is wild. And like, I was trying to explain it to my coworker without giving into, because we hadn't watched it. We had just talked about it at lunch, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, I just don't even think I know what they are. And I was like, well, they get married a lot, so they have definitely the polyamory relationships. But beyond that, it's like you can't have another wife until you get told you can have another wife. And typically the way you can have another wife is by giving up one of your daughters to marry a 60, 70, 80. Or making enough money, bringing enough profits. Also, there's so many aspects to this to this documentary, like the free labor aspect of it.
Yes.
Like they literally
on a level that surpasses the Amish. You know what I mean? Like, because you could say that there's slight, just in like the lack of education in the way that they put people to work really early, right?
Right.
It's somewhat reminiscent of the Amish.
Right.
But the FLDS is like, what if we went even further? You know what I mean? Like, what was one of the asides, one of the women was saying, oh, we had this school and it went to the fourth grade. And she said it kind of like, it was great. I was like, the fourth grade? You haven't learned anything when you complete the fourth grade.
No.
What the fuck? I was
No.
confused.
Not to mention all their books were like razor bladed X-Acto knives of anything that was like space related or anything that would be science.
Well, that's the thing. When they were saying that they were cutting pages out of the science book and what they were cutting out, I was like, there's nothing left in the science book if you cut those items.
Make your own book.
Like, yeah, at that point, just make up your own science.
You're making up songs. Can make up a book.
So, yeah, but it was like, it's very much women are second-class citizens. They are really just there to keep sweet.
Keep sweet.
Pray and obey. I mean, what the title says. But, like, they had this whole song around keeping sweet. Their original prophet, supposedly the last one, false, by the way.
Spoiler alert.
You know, had them wearing, singing these songs and wearing certain dresses. And, like, he had put keep sweet. Did you notice that in the slippers that had keep sweet on the bottom with, like, the worst arts and crafts ever? And then this lady on the side, she's like, I just thought that was so cool. You did, ma'am?
She had a fourth grade education. I ain't gonna bash on people with low education, but I'm gonna say you probably didn't get into art history or any kind of like intellectual art at like discussions at that point. So yes,
that's true. And you really live a very basic life. You probably did think it was cool, but yeah, and it's just like, your whole goal is to wait until God has revealed to the prophet that you're supposed to get married.
Right.
And this is where we get into the problem.
And this is where we get into the problem. So you're definitely, and like, you're probably thinking at home, hey, yeah, once they reach 18, then they probably can pick who they want to marry.
No.
Oh, no. See, the fact is they don't even get to 18 in most cases. And they have children. That's the goal of women. And mostly the goal of women is to have female children for the same process and then male children for work. Because very few of the males actually become part of the church.
And children, like one of the women said, by the time she was 24, she had 6 kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's just cranking them out every year.
And there was, 19 of something is what one person said, but there was people with 30 plus children, and then if they they could take the mother and the children away from one father and give them to another father.
Right.
It was some crazy, like, I don't know,
we can't cover all the things,
can't cover all
but
the
you
things.
have to watch it because
you have
it
to.
is.
Because like that dude, like it's like he comes down every morning and is like, here's something crazy to do. Here's something new, or the Lord spoke to me.
I think we can't talk about that part. So the first last prophet was Rulin Jeffs.
Correct.
Old, grody, nasty, 89 years old,
Mm-hmm.
marrying 16-year-olds. I can't even talk about it. I don't know why they showed us pictures. Thank you, no thank you. But then, even though he was supposed to be renewed and go back in time, very much Benjamin Button, he died.
Right.
So then his son,
Warren.
yes. Now all of a sudden he starts saying that he is his father, renewed. And so Warren is the one making it even worse. So not to say it didn't start with Warren, but Warren just exacerbated the whole thing.
Right. And there's a couple offshoots of the FLDS, which always reminds me of floral delivery service. But it's just as FDS, right?
It is.
Which is also a feminine deodorant spray. But here we are. Check your acronyms before you start using one. But yeah, so there was a couple offshoots of the Mormon Church that was out like settlement kind of situations, and then one of them was a little more crazy than the other one, and then the crazy one became bigger. So it is definitely an interesting story. Like you said, it's been in our lifetime. So I mean, both these documentaries we just talked about were in our lifetimes, 80s based. The one Keep Sweet has a lot of people who were from the church discussing it, because sometimes there's one or two people saying the bad things, but this was almost everybody. Yeah, I did scream at one point out loud, and it has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with the actual story, but I was just so into it so much. And there's this part where this woman says that she reads her husband's mileage on his car, and then she reads it when he comes back, and then she takes that mileage and she gets out a map and she gets a compass and she maps the circumference. And when she said that, I screamed, because I don't think I had heard anybody say mapping the circumference for so long, or see anybody actually using a compass.
You're like, not unless we're talking about dicks, right?
Right?
Like,
yeah. Circumference is different.
Actually for
it's measured
mileage?
with your mouth.
What?
Now, yeah, she's actually doing it, and
yeah, she kicked it old school, and she was like, and then I was looking at the dirt, and I was like, well, it can't be here, and it can't be there. I was like, well, dang, this bitch.
She is
knowledge.
Nancy. There was Nancy Drew books for a
At
while
one time,
on,
yes.
so she might have been that Nancy Drew. But yeah, it was a good show. Trying to think of any ones that I've watched in the last few minutes that have been pretty decent.
Last few minutes. Oh, in the last few minutes. I thought you were talking
No, in the last few podcasts.
Here's what I need, though. I need another really good Amish documentary, because there was a period where I was gobbling them up as fast as they could produce them. And then they started making those fake shows on
Breaking Amish.
Yeah, whatever the hell. Yeah. I don't need dramatization. I feel like the real stuff is entertaining enough, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I need more.
I mean, the thing is, like, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I was texting a friend about it last night because she finished watching it too. And so we were talking about it, and I was just like, I don't know how anybody can watch all these documentaries pointing at myself and other people and be like, have any kind of like esteem for religion, because it's very scary. Like, it's definitely the extreme aspect of the religion, but some parts of it are like just how people believe because of their faith so much.
Yeah.
And like,
especially the ones that are like cults, like even deeper cults, like
the Heaven's Gate.
The ones that like aren't even Main Street. You're just like, oh, okay, all right.
And that's the thing. I don't know. Like, first of all, if anybody ever tells you they're the prophet, are you in? As fast. They're not the prophet.
They're not.
They may have gone to seminary school and learned religion and done that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like, I can get behind educated religion. But if they say they are the prophet, or maybe like, oh, we're Christian, but
yeah,
we don't believe all those things. We believe in not eating. Oh, that one documentary about The Way Down. That was another documentary on HBO. Have you seen that one yet?
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's about the woman. She has that weird hair. Her hair kept getting bigger.
I started it and I never finished.
Yeah, so that one was really good, and it was about her religion. Her Christianity was based on starving yourself.
Right.
And then she went crazy from there. So, like, lack of calories and godlike complexes don't work out well.
And the money. Like, that's really what starts all of these cults, is people get a little taste of that money, and they're like, oh, wait a minute.
Oh, and that POWER. I love some POWER. Power bottom, power top, all power. Like, yeah, no, I can see where it goes. Because like we said, we talked about end of the world scenarios, and I was going to start a cult. Like, I literally was going to, that was going to be my thing. And I think charisma, I got it. But like, I just need to, I don't know, pick a level of crazy.
You do. Pick a level. Find a group of people that would follow it. And done.
I have one now.